Okay. Hi everyone, today we are going to be discussing the hypocrisy of Barbara Kruger's Thinking of You, I Mean Me, I Mean You MoMA exhibit. Barbara Kruger was born in Newark, New Jersey in 1945, and she is 77 years old today. Her career as an artist began in the late 1960s after studying at Syracuse University in the New School. A majority of Kruger's work comes from a feminist standpoint. This exhibition, Thinking of You, I Mean Me, I Mean You, is actually a collection of many of her works from throughout her life thus far. Her work is very famous for having black and white images with enlarged text laid out over top of the images, usually in a magazine format. Many of the textual messages are geared towards women in order to get them thinking about how they are represented in society and the systems set in place. Kruger aims to push women and everyone else to think about different stereotypes and issues in society. She usually uses a we, you, I address to reach her audience. In her exhibition, Thinking of You, I Mean Me, I Mean You, she not only criticizes expectations for women through a feminist lens, but she also criticizes consumerism, capitalism, nationalism, and militarism heavily. Some of her other notable works include We Won't Play Nature to Your Culture, I Shop Therefore I Am, Your Body is a Battleground, and Your Devotion Has the Look of a Lunatic Sport.
Barbara Kruger's artistic style emerged during the financial crisis, Reaganomics, gentrification, and at the peak of AIDS epidemic. Many artists, including Kruger, exploited the political environment in their work to bring light to growing consumerism. Kruger's critique of consumerism takes her back to the 80s. It was a time when her work became a commodity and she became a brand with her recognizable bold prints along with subversive messaging. As we can see from the exhibit, Kruger shoots out into the audience with a gender-oriented device. The you, we, me, and I incites a level of encouragement from the female spectatorship and allows them to critically read her messages. The explicitness of her phrases jump out against the contrasted background, and by placing these words on walls, ceilings, and floors, Kruger not only gets her point across visually, but also forces her audience to physically interact with her work by pushing them to move and bend in according to the orientation of her work.
It is important to know that feminism is a large part of Kruger's identity. Come from Kruger herself, she says, "For me as a woman first and then as an artist, it was important that my work, which I hope is critical and is read critically, enters that discourse." Right off the bat, we can see how her being a woman is meaningful, if not the most important part of who she is as an artist. Therefore, her audience is regarded as female spectator. She invites women into active viewership and allows them to respond critically to her messages without restraint.
As Kruger's career progressed, she continued to keep feminism and the female experience at the forefront of her art. She has also used pieces from throughout the entirety of her career to craft new exhibits that bring modernized perspective to her older work, most relevantly her most recent exhibit titled Thinking of You, I Mean Me, I Mean You. This exhibit features some of her most famous creations, many of which provide commentary on women and women's experiences. But how has she continued to create art about feminism that is current and relevant in our society today? In a 2018 journal written by a Georgetown student, Yang Hai, Kruger's transformation through the span of her career is both evaluated and explained. Hai writes about the various public displays Kruger has put on and concludes that, as an artist whose work is about the skewed representation of reality, she keeps her finger tightly pressed to the pulse of popular culture, watching reality shows to know the current trends that can tell how media portrays value, materialism, and consumerism, Hai wrote. Despite her age, Kruger has adapted her career to suit the interests and tone of her audience, emulating the issues that women currently face in her creations.
In this exhibit, there are multiple pieces in which Kruger criticizes consumerism. One example is with About Who Gets What and Owns What, about who is remembered and who is forgotten. In this piece, Kruger reveals how a lot of life comes down to ownership of materials and power. However, even though Kruger heavily criticizes consumerism in this exhibit, especially through a feminist lens, she is benefiting from it enormously. Due to her powerful position as an artist, she can spread whatever messages she'd like while also making money from it.
She criticizes and mocks Supreme's use of her font and art style on their clothes by parodically recreating the Supreme logo that is typically present. The line, "I shop, therefore I am," appears repeatedly in this exhibit. She jokes about the phone eats first phenomenon in a piece featuring a picture of a Starbucks cup with the phrase, "Nobody thinks you're cooler now," displayed on top of the photo. She often uses her up-to-date knowledge of popular culture to create art that relevantly criticizes the current state of our world, especially when it comes to the realm of consumerism and mass consumption. In a journal for SUNY College of Oswego, Catherine Kallick said about Kruger's art that through the male gaze, men are able to gain control over the bodies of women, creating a tension between the two sexes. Kruger ties this to a critique of consumerism in that everything in Euro-American culture can be bought, sold, and owned. This ideology extends to relationships amongst individuals, further causing struggles over control and power, Kallick said. There is a gift shop at the end of the Thinking of You, I Mean Me, I Mean You exhibit, which uplifts the idea of consumerism with merch and other things that people can buy, instead of emphasizing Kruger's critique of it. Also, Hyundai Motor Company is a corporate sponsor of LACMA, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, and helped to partner with them for Kruger's exhibit, Thinking of You, I Mean Me, I Mean You, even though a part of her whole message is going against consumerism and capitalism. Her exhibition was actually part of the Hyundai Project at LACMA, their art initiative program between LACMA and Hyundai Motors Corporation.
Thinking of You, I Mean Me, I Mean You is a collection of many of Kruger's works, and a lot of them are critiques of a capitalist, consumerist culture, and she is especially trying to warn women of this system and its roots in gender roles. Women have always been a major target of consumer culture. Even though Kruger presents all of these arguments in her work, she profits off of that work with pieces that sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars, or even millions, along with the gift shop merchandise and exhibitions like this one. She indirectly profits from branding and how other companies like Supreme use her work and style, so her style is being commodified. It's all just one big interconnected cycle. Kruger has the privilege of being able to connect her work, consumer culture, branding, and profit all in one.
Topics of feminism and consumerism are a big part of conversation today in our society. We are constantly being fed new products and upgrades of things we already have, like with iPhones. Social media often influences us to purchase things, so the idea of critiquing consumerism is very relevant today. Also, there are many other artists and celebrities who preach about being anti-capitalist and going against the grain with consumer culture, like actress Kristen Stewart and artists like Gabrielle Curry and Martin Basher, to name a few. However, these celebrities and influencers also benefit from these systems greatly, whether they think about it or not. Kruger's piece, Your Body is a Battleground, which is present in this exhibit, is a piece that has recircled around the internet and social media since the overturning of Roe v. Wade. It's very relevant to the Roe v. Wade situation and the idea that a woman's body should not be a place of regulation by the government. Women need to have agency over their own bodies and reproductive choices. Kruger's work has a history of standing up for female representation and dismantling power dynamics when it comes to gender. A lot of her artwork tries to enlighten women so that they think more critically about norms that oppress them and create stereotypes. Therefore, Kruger's exhibit, Thinking of You, I Mean Me, I Mean You, should, without a doubt, be a part of a 2022 time capsule. The exhibit mirrors our position in society today as it affirms that the patriarchy Kruger has been criticizing for decades is still alive and well in 2022.